Hi everyone, it's Sue Plumb here to share a scrapbooking process video with a difference today. So today the layout that I am sharing with you is actually part of an online class that I designed exclusively for the ScrappingClearly Virtual Cyber Crop that is currently taking place. So I hope you found your way here and found this video as part of the Cyber Crop, and if not, you should jump on over to the ScrappingClearly Virtual Cyber Crop group and check out all the amazing videos that are available there from a whole host of artists from all around the world. I was thrilled when Kylie asked me to be part of this event, and I hope you get some value out of what I've got to share with you today. So today the class that I've designed is actually a pretty basic layout class, and I thought I would design a page that incorporated a little bit of mixed media because I know there are already so many mixed media artists that are involved with this event. So I thought I'd just put in a little bit of light mixed media and of course my primary love, which is paper. And for this layout I'm actually using the Cocoa Vanilla Studio Unforgettable collection. Now, as I said, I designed this as a basic type of layout that you can recreate at home with any materials that you have available. You can use any collection, any papers, any embellishments, and I've actually created a second version of this page using the exact same instructions and page recipe using the Cocoa Vanilla Studio Legendary collection. So there's a girl version and there's a boy version there as samples for you to have a look at, but of course you can use whatever you have on hand. So getting back to the process that's already happening here on my video, you can see I've got a sheet of white cardstock and I'm actually using a Distress Oxide just to add a little bit of watercolor to the background first. On the right there, I've already got all the pattern paper pieces cut to size. There is a set of instructions available for this layout that has all of the measurements on it, and I am going to pop a link to that PDF with those instructions in it. It will be a Dropbox link. You'll be able to download it from there if you want to print it out. If you're not the sort of person that likes to just follow along by watching a video and you prefer to have measurements and written instructions, there is a set of written instructions available for you. So here I am, I'm just shuffling around. As I said, I've got all of my pattern paper pieces already cut to size. So now I'm just going to layer them all up together. I'm starting with the largest piece at the bottom. There's the photo I'm working with, which is a photo of my kids. You can see I've backed it with some scrap cardboard there. I tend to use cardboard to back all of my photos rather than using expensive foam or foam tape or anything like that. So I'm just starting with that largest piece of pattern paper there, which I'm going to place on the bottom of my stack. I'm then putting another piece on top that I've actually torn along the bottom edge just to add a bit of visual interest to the stack. I've got another pattern paper piece that I'm laying over the top there. And then I've got a longer thin piece that I'm actually going to tuck into my stack so that my stack actually has pieces that are running vertically and pieces that are also running horizontally, just to balance out my page. Now, the idea of that horizontal piece is also to draw the viewer's eye through the photo, which of course is supposed to be the main feature of your page. So besides the pattern papers, you can see I've also tucked a paper doily in there. That's a 6-inch paper doily, and once I've got all those pattern paper pieces in place, I'm actually just going to staple the stack together. I find it so much easier to do it this way by stapling all the pieces together before you attach them to the page, rather than having to go back and stick each sheet individually and attach them like that. I find it much easier just to arrange the stack how I want it, staple it all together, and then stick it down on the page just as one bundle. So there I am with my long arm stapler. We have a love-hate relationship, my long arm stapler and I. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it takes a bit of swearing, but it worked today, so that was good. So with that bottom piece, I'm actually just snipping off a little triangular piece at the bottom just so that that paper is sitting in a banner shape. And I just like to use different shapes, different sizes, tearing, cutting, sometimes punching, just anything to add extra interest to those layers. So going back to my cardstock now, and my Distress Oxide was almost dry. Rather than pull the heat gun out, I just rolled over it with some paper towel just to soak up any of the excess moisture that was there. Coming in with my pattern paper stack now, you'll see that I like to bend up the corners of my papers just to add a bit of extra dimension. So you will quite often see that I am bending things up away from the page, and it just helps to separate the layers and provide extra dimension, as I said. So, oops, bumped the camera there. Now I've got those pattern paper pieces there, I am actually looking for something to add a bit of texture to the page. So, sticking it down, boring. I tend to use gauze on my pages, which I just get from my local pharmacy, and I fray it up and I add that up on the top, and it just adds that textural element. If you don't have any gauze on hand, feel free to substitute in anything else. You might like to use just some messy cotton thread. If you've got some punchinella, you might like to add some punchinella or some hessian or some fabric, or basically whatever you've got that will work for you. You might like to use tulle. Anything to add that contrast of texture. So I've just stapled the gauze in place there, and then I'm coming back in. I've got my photo sitting on top, and you can see I'm fiddling around, bending up the corners of those papers again. Now I'm pointing out the two spots. That's the final piece of pattern paper there, which I've just cut in half. I was pointing out the two spots where I'm going to put tears in the cardstock and then stick a little bit of pattern paper behind it. You'll see why I pointed out the line that I did. So they're not exactly in line with each other. They are both sort of slightly off center. But when you look at the completed page and you see where those two tears sit, you will see that they drag your eye down through a line through the photo, and that's what I wanted to do. Besides the fact that they also help to bring a little bit of balance to the page and just a little bit of extra interest. So I've just placed a little tiny tear into the cardstock and folded the edges back, stuck that little piece of pattern paper behind, and then stapled the edges down just using my tiny attacher. If you don't have a tiny attacher, use a regular stapler. If you'd like to use a brad, if you'd like to use whatever you have on hand, maybe a clip, a fancy clip, or look, if you don't want to put that on there, by all means, leave it off. So I'm just repeating the same process down the bottom there. I've also torn the cardstock again, placed the pattern paper behind, folded back the edges, and I'm just stapling them down using my tiny attacher. Now you'll see I'm going to point out that line, and it drags the eye down through the photo, and that's exactly what you want. So you've now got that strong horizontal line from that pink paper that's there, or whatever paper that you choose to use, which is providing that strong horizontal line to draw the eye through the photo. And then you've also got those 2 points at the top and bottom of the cardstock to also help draw the eye through the photo. Excuse me. So just using a little bit of glue just to finally tack down all of my papers, make sure everything's in place and not going to wriggle around too much. As I said, bending up the corners just for a little bit of visual interest there. Okay, so now all of that's in place. The next step is we are going to embellish this page after we stick the photo down, of course. I've got my trusty Helmer 450 there. I always like to use that on top of gauze because the gauze does not like double-sided tape. So with the photo stuck down, we're now going to, as I said, move on to embellishing the page. Now, I am a firm believer in the good old visual triangle. So you can see that I'm pointing out 3 spots around the photo where I'm going to place my embellishment clusters. So there's going to be one to the left of the photo. There's going to be one at the top of the photo on the right-hand side, and there's going to be one down on the bottom right-hand side as well. And you can see where they're placed, that they form that triangle around the photo, again, helping to balance the page, but to draw the eye into that photo. So on that left-hand cluster there, I've got that cute little handmade felt star embellishment from Charms Creations, which I've just topped off with a flare button from the Cocoa Vanilla Studio Unforgettable collection. All of these embellishments that I'm using now, all these die cuts are all from the die cut ephemera pack. You'll also see that I'm going to use some of the accessory stickers as well. So I'm just creating first my cluster on the left hand side there with the star, a couple of little feathers, so it's sort of a bit dreamcatcher like. Then I thought it actually needed a little splash of extra colour over there, so I just got that little mint flower and sort of tucked that in behind because I didn't want the star blending into that pink paper on its own too much. You'll see that once I've glued it down, again, I don't glue it all the way to the edge. I leave a little bit of the edge free so I can bend it up just to give it that dimension. I did the same thing with the feathers. I don't glue the entire thing down. I just put a dab of glue at the top so I can bend the bottoms of them up away from the page. So I've just come in with this little floral piece, which again, I'm going to tuck under the edge of the photo, just fiddling around with the gauze there. You would have seen when I showed you the back of my photo where I had the cardboard. I don't put the cardboard all the way to the edge because I like to be able to tuck things in under the photo. And that just helps the photo and the embellishments to sort of meld together. So you can see I'm just tucking in that floral piece. Again, make sure you bend up all the edges of your embellishments. Now, like I said, if you're not working with the same collection as me, that's completely fine. Use whatever you have on hand at home. It doesn't have to be a girly layout with photos like this one. Like I said, I also scrapped a boy version of this using the Legendary collection. So by all means, just wing it with whatever you've got there. But this basic layout design should work with whatever you have on hand. So you'll see that I'm actually sticking some of the accessory stickers up over the right hand corner of my photo, and that's one of the things that I love to do with my layouts, just to make sure that the photo looks included on the page. And I also like to fill up any sort of negative space on the photo if I can, and that's that I like to stick embellishments directly onto the photo themselves. Yeah, as I said, wing it with whatever you have on hand in your stash. The most important thing to remember is to achieve the balanced look on your page, you really want those three embellishment clusters to form that visual triangle on your page. So if you can stick with basically the same places that I've used, you will still get the same effect regardless of what materials you've used. So you can see, as I said, one on the left, one above, and one below. Now, fiddling around, once I've got all those embellishments in place, yes, happy with that. All right, what does this page need now? We need a title, don't we? So I'm actually going to use the foam stickers from the Unforgettable collection. Look, if you are not a person that likes to have a title on your page, you might like to use that spot for journaling. You might like to use stickers. You might like to use a large sticker. As I said, use whatever you have on hand. It's just that I am using the foam stickers that came as part of this collection. One of the reasons I did really want to use these foam stickers also is because they were black, and because of those black and white tones that I had in the photo, I had the black flare on the other side of the photo. I really needed to pull that black colour in some more just to help balance it out. One of the things I love about these foam stickers is they actually come on the transparent sheet, so you can just shuffle them around. You can actually move it around and see where you'd like to have it on the page without actually having to commit to sticking it down straight away. So I'm just sticking that down on the right of the photo there. As I said, to bring some of that black into the page, I'm using my little clear T-square ruler just to shuffle it into place. First word in, I'm actually going to pop a second word in. I wasn't going to initially, and then I thought, no, I've got the space there. I've got the stickers there. Why not use it? So I'm also popping that second word in there for the title. I didn't actually journal on this page, largely because I was doing it for this class, and there wasn't really much to say about it because I had already actually scrapped a photo that was taken on the same day as this, and I did already journal on that page, so it didn't really need it. Generally, as a matter of course, when I journal, I just handwrite something down in the bottom corner, If I have a larger story to tell, sometimes I'll pop it on a tag and tuck it into the layers. Sometimes I'll just make notes on the back of the page itself. But generally, when it comes to scrapping stories about my kids, I tend to do all the ones with details in their traveller's notebooks. Each of my kids has their own book or books, and I tend to put any of the detailed stories into their individual books because I think they're going to be more likely to keep those in the end rather than all of my big pages. The big pages are really more of a process thing for me, I think. So I've just popped that little die-cut butterfly on there, getting really close to the end now, and I'm hoping you've been able to see everything that I'm doing okay. As I said, if you prefer to just follow along written instructions, I'll put a link to the file down below. I'll have it in my Dropbox so you can grab it from there. Now, 9 times out of 10, I like to finish off my pages with a little bit of splatter. I'm just using a black ink there from Colour Blast by B Arty. And you can see I'm using a small kids paintbrush with nylon bristles. I really prefer to use these little kids paintbrushes with the stiff bristles to do really, really tiny splatters. I find that they give me really good control. And when I'm splattering here, I am really trying to keep the splatters only in the area where I've got the colour from the Distress Oxide. I really didn't want to splatter too much into the white space. I really wanted to keep that clean where it was. So yeah, those little stiff brushes just give you the ability to be able to control your splattering a lot more. Finishing off my page, I grabbed the accessory sticker sheet again because I had a bit of space on that banner piece and I thought it needed something extra there just to fill up the space. So I just grabbed a couple of little phrase stickers, but that will depend entirely upon what sort of pattern you used for that piece of paper. If it's a really strong one, you might not want to add something extra. So that was it. No, I decided not to put an extra one on. That's it. That was my class. So as I said, there's 2 separate examples. I will make sure that the link for this video is in the Scrapping Clearly group. I will also upload the layout instructions there as a file so you can grab it from there as well. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for stopping by. Bye.